Hello, everyone, and welcome to Red United TV. It's your boy, Ivorian Spice, and we are back at it again, back on YouTube for the catch up. We're live right now, waiting for the guys to tune in, but it doesn't matter. I can hold on the show for my own goddamn self. Make sure you guys subscribe, smash that like button, tune in as well, of course, for those who are watching across all social media platforms. You know what it is right now. For those who are watching on Facebook as well, make sure you smash that like button, share, subscribe to all social media platforms. For those who are watching on Twitch as well, make sure you subscribe, smash that like button, and share, of course, as well. Retweet as well. And Twitch, continue to just show love. But yes, I am here today because, of course, this is the catch up. We've got a lot of things to discuss, a lot of things to talk about. Waiting for the panel to arrive as we proceed and continue. Big up to everyone because, of course, usually it will be on Facebook. But yeah, but I mean, usually it'll be on Instagram today. But today we switch up. We're going back to Facebook. As always, man, it's been a good one. Big up to Agua as well. That's live. And a while ago that says hello. Big up to you as well. Hello to you as well. You know what it is today. We're reviewing the match against Newcastle, and of course, we're discussing Bruno Fernandes. As you can see there, Bruno Fernandes is up for discussion, and of course, there's news regarding Luke Shaw and his contract. As you guys were aware yesterday, it came up. It was circulating that, especially on, I believe, Saturday or Friday, in the press conference for Eric Ten Hag, he was asked a question regarding Luke Shaw's contract, and he wasn't completely unaware, according to him. But we know that's all capping, man. That's not true, man. He was aware. He was aware, but he was just hiding it. But as always, guys. But before I even continue, let me just make sure I get all the socials, the tweets out. You know what it is. But yes, guys, I know it's been a while since we've been on YouTube. But we're live across all social media platforms, so that's the great thing about it. But make sure you join in, tune in, let us know what your thoughts on. Throw in your comments as well. We would like to see your comments. Let us know what your thoughts are on today's game. It is what it is. It's been one heck of a weekend for Manchester United. For those who are watching across all social media platforms, you know what I mean. Manchester United didn't have the best of weekend yesterday, but we will get into it. I'm just gonna wait a few more minutes and then wait for the lads to join in. They're very late for some reason. We're 8 minutes into a stream, and none of the guys who are meant to be on the panel have showed up. We're waiting for Jerome and, of course, waiting for Moses. But again, it is the catch up. We are here. Let me just get my banner up. Just make sure I've got the right people on. Yep. But big up to everyone that's tuning in right now. Smash that like button, share across all social media platforms. As your boy Ivorian Spice will be here discussing everything Manchester United, what's taking place yesterday as well in a match. Bruno Fernandes on topic as well. I'm not happy, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm going to wait again, like I said before, just a couple of more minutes. Let me know where you guys are watching from as we are live right now for the catch-up. Waiting for these guys. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know why they're taking so long. I'm live, but I will start off with my thoughts on the game before the guys jump in and tune in. I don't know, maybe because this is restream. I asked people to come in as early as possible, but they didn't, man. They didn't. We got Jerome. Jerome is here. Finally joined in. He's be back on YouTube. What are you saying, big man?
Yeah, man. I'm all good in the hood, man. It's been a long day, busy Monday, but not too happy with the result. So I haven't been thinking about that too much today. But apart from that, yeah, just getting on with things, innit? The grind, really.
It is the grind, man. Really is the grind, man. We're getting back to it, man. Like I said, we're back on the catch up. It's been a while since we've been on YouTube and Facebook and across all social media platforms such as Twitter. We're still waiting for Moses to join us, but again, we'll get straight and started because I know Jerome we know we want to make this a quick one.
Yeah,
We're not here
definitely.
to have a good time. We're here to just, get things out the way
Get
and
things
just
off
hash
our
it out,
chest.
get it off our chest. Moses has finally joined us now. Moses, big up to you, man. How you been, my brother? Yeah, man. We're
What's
just
good,
about to
man?
start. First of all,
Yeah, man,
good
I'm
to
all
see you.
good, man. It's good to be back on the show, of course. But yeah, man, could have been under better circumstances, but I'm sure we'll dig into that in a bit, innit? But good to see you boys anyway. I hope you're all good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely, man. I'm okay, man. I'm recovering slowly, but it is what it is. But let's get straight into it because, of course, hello everyone, and welcome to Red United TV. It's your boy Ivorian Spice, and we're here for the catch up, volume 97. And as you see it today, the topic is how good is Bruno Fernandes? And of course, Newcastle 2, Manchester United 0, and including your Manchester United news, we've got Luke Shaw to discuss, of course, new contract Ahmed. We've been hearing rumors. He's confirmed it himself yesterday, the post-match interview. But let's get straight to it. Let's get straight to the match because it is Manchester United nil, Newcastle 2. Newcastle beating Manchester United, getting revenge. Not something that we want to see, but it took place and it happened. Of course, Newcastle 2, Manchester United 0. I'm going to start it off. I've got my notes already. You know what I mean, of course. My overall thoughts of yesterday's game, because I was absolutely disgusted with the whole 90 minutes performance. The first 45 minutes where Manchester United themselves couldn't do anything, giving away possession cheaply. David De Gea saving us on a couple of occasions in the first half. And of course, Manchester United just not getting started at all, just never got to grips in the game. And then, of course, in the second half, Manchester United fell apart with the first goal coming in. You saw Alexander Isak causing problems as well. Bruno Guimaraes, the real Bruno, I have to say, because for me, yesterday, there was only one Bruno who did well, and that was Bruno G, passing around, doing exactly what a midfielder's supposed to do, retain possession, create opportunities, be calm on the ball, control the game, dictate tempo, the real stuff that an elite midfielder would actually do. But yes, a goal coming from Willock and the goal itself coming from the left-hand side, Luke Shaw's side. Luke Shaw being exposed with a wonderful cross there by Bruno G. And to find to find Maximum to knock it down, to give it to Willock to score that first goal. And then the second goal, Wilson as well. Manchester United, the changes never worked. I'm going to go straight to you, Jerome. Your thoughts on the game yesterday?
Well, I'm very disappointed with the game, the performance, the result, obviously. And on reflection, obviously, I spent today just reflecting on things and just trying to find any sort of positive to take from the game. And really, the only positive I could take was that Anthony Martial's back, and it doesn't look like he's picked up any injuries and he saw the game out. So that's the only positive. But at no point in the game did it look like we were going to win the game. And at one point, I was just thinking, let's just take the draw and keep it moving. So for us to lose the game in the manner that we did was bitterly disappointing, especially after coming back from an international break where I thought the team, obviously, a lot of the players went off on international duty, but we thought they could just take their mind off the hectic fixture schedule at United and just come back refreshed and revitalized and ready for the end of season running. But we just started it off poorly, and it just looks like we were just sitting ducks, just there to be beaten. Really, like obviously Newcastle play with a lot of passion and desire, as Eric Ten Hag said, and it just looked like they just wanted it more and they were just hungry, chasing, pressing, doing what we should be doing, pressing. We just looked like we were just tired and just wanted to just get the hell out of Newcastle. And we were slow, lethargic. The formation was questionable. Like obviously, I got great faith in Eric Ten Hag, but the team selection that he put out, you could argue that we don't have much options at the moment, and it just reflected on how much we miss Casemiro. But to put McTominay in the 10 was suicidal. I know he scored a couple of goals against a second string Spain team. Let's be honest, it wasn't an elite Spain team that he scored against, but there was a lot of hype around that. So it looks like he experimented and put him in the 10. and he was just literally non-existent, giving the ball away, usual hiding, it just being his usual self. He wasn't even playing the 10 role. In the end, he had to get moved to play DM, and he was just useless. It's like, why was he even playing? It's like we're just playing with 10 men, and then obviously we had nothing up front. We were just toothless up front, workhorse. Obviously, he works hard for the team. We've got a lot of hard workers that don't have enough quality to play for the club. And in the end, it was just a game that in the first half, we were happy and fortunate to get in at 0-0 because we should have been a couple of goals down if it wasn't for the saves from De Gea. And that was disappointing as well. That I had to look at the stats, and I think we had expected goals. And usually I'm not a stats person, but we had an expected goals stat of 0.54.
Wow.
Throughout the whole match. So we wasn't there to score, basically. So that's why I would have been happy if we just took a draw and moved on. And then obviously in the second half, started in the same manner as we finished the first, and yeah, we just couldn't get going. And I just think that there's a lot that we need to work on going forward because we're not controlling games. We don't have anyone that can just get hold of the ball and just dictate the play, have a sort of calmness when we're under the cosh, just to calm the game down and get us to regroup. We're just too frantic and scared. We don't have enough technical players in the team, so it's gonna take time. It's bitterly disappointing in the way we lost the game because we knew that Newcastle was a tough game, and it's kind of made this top four race a bit of a scrap, really. So there's not much positive to take from the game, and it was a poor watch. You were just watching it, just thinking, we're not going to win this game. How many are we going to lose by? Because they were just on our necks, Newcastle, and really we should have been going for it. We should be trying to secure this top three, but now it's just a top four scrap. So we're gonna have to like put on a big performance on Wednesday against Brentford because that's going to be a tough game because they're a decent outfit, Brentford.
Yeah, and of course, Moses. Let me bring it straight to you. What's your thoughts on yesterday's game? I know you're not even smiling today, bro. You're not happy. Like, lay it out and I'm your Dr. Phil, man. Just tell me what's going on.
Well, man. Well, I'm not surprised. Well, I don't think any of us should be happy, really. That was a really bad performance, and just like echoing what Jerome said, isn't it? Like the only positive. One of the only positives is Martial being back, and let's touch wood now in it because you never know. He might not got injured. He might not got injured in the game, but he might have got injured in his sleep in it because you never know if Anthony Martial. Do you know what? Like, I don't even want to talk about Casemiro because like we already know how important he is, and we've said this so many times. Every time he's out, we struggle. But for me, I was just disappointed in the desire because it felt like, I don't know, like after that first half, was the first time we didn't have a shot on goal.
Yeah,
on target.
we didn't have no shots on target.
And you know what? The second half didn't really get much better. So for me, the main positive is that it can't get much worse. And I feel like we usually find a way of bouncing back, of finding a response. But yeah, that match, it couldn't be more chalk and cheese. It felt like that was the sort of game that we'd be having before the international break, and we're like, look, the boys just need to go away, get some time, get some rest in those legs. But to be honest, yeah, I was shocked at a lot of performances. The first goal specifically, we lost the ball. Was it Luke Shaw? Was it Luke Shaw that lost the ball in the? Oh no, was it? I think it might have been Bruno. Anyway, there was.
I will believe you if you said Bruno. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, it was. We lost the ball way too easily in that. I'm not sure who it was, but I think after that was one of the first times where I was watching that game. We went a goal down, and I was a bit like, my confidence, my chest isn't there in terms of like us coming back. And especially, look, I'm not really one to criticize Ten Hag, but he got it wrong. He got it wrong with taking off Varane and Martinez. We had no way of building up. We had no, like, the press was non-existent. We needed someone like We needed someone like a Martinez on the pitch to keep at least Newcastle honest. But as soon as we took off Varane and took off Martinez, Dallo, Lindelof, Shaw. Is anyone really feeling confident with that defense? Like we were asking,
zero confidence.
we're asking for trouble, boys. Like us doing that is like what you do in the 88th minute when you're in the Champions League semi-final. Really and truthfully, I think we looked better when we didn't get rid of Varane and Martinez. So as soon as we did that, I think it was obvious to Newcastle what our main tactic was, and it was just all out attack. And I think Gary Neville said it in commentary. I don't realize it usually like to quote commentators and stuff, but yeah, all Newcastle had to do was play half well, and they'd get something out of the game. They get a second goal. It didn't look like we were ever going to get that equaliser, if I'm honest. Except for Martial had that half chance. But overall, man, we were terrible. We were shocking. This was one of the worst performances against a team that's a rival. Once again, we go away from home and we don't pull up any trees whatsoever. So yeah, I mean, it's back to square one again. It's like after the Liverpool match, we've got to look at ourselves in the mirror and be like, what are we actually about? And the one good thing is that I don't think it can get much worse than that performance. And we've got a fairly easy run in next as well. So I don't want to say it's too easy, but we've got opportunities to bounce back. We're still in other competitions. We're not out the top 4 race, but yeah, I think it was a good. I think we missed Aaron Wan-Bissaka as well because they were cutting through. They were cutting through down the wings, way too easily. But yeah, man, I'll stop there, innit? But yeah, I could go on forever, to be honest.
And exactly so, you have to lay it all out, Moses, man. Manchester United again, as you said there, Moses. We have to point at our manager. He got it wrong, in terms of starting lineup. Should he have went for McTominay because he scored lots of goals? I think Sabitzer done quite well. We're seeing the form has improved with Sabitzer because I saw him driving through the midfield, getting the ball turning and all that kind of stuff. But of course, not enough for what we want. And we didn't get the results yesterday. But it's a good thing that you highlighted that we have to give Ten Hag the blame. And what do you think, Jerome? Did Ten Hag deserve the blame for yesterday's game in terms of the lineup or the setup or the subs?
Yeah, I think he needs to take some responsibility. Like we can't just always keep blaming the players every time we lose. Like the manager, he manages the team.
The players were horrible.
Yeah, they were horrible. Yeah, like there's no getting away from that. But some of the changes were questionable, like taking Varane and Martinez off, like just to just leave us just open, really. They are two best defenders. Also, I know we're going for the goal, but I think that was a bit too risky. I don't think in our heyday that we were doing changes like that. So, yeah, that was a bit questionable. And I know I've said it before, but this McTominay in his 10 row, I don't know where he was going with that because McTominay's not really that, like, where does he do passes like to like thread passes through? I just did not get that. Like he's not someone that likes to be on the ball. He's not confident on the ball. He doesn't have that many touches in the game. And a number 10 role is a very influential position. And I'll just question how on earth, away from home in particular, was McTominay expected to make some sort of impact in a number 10 role. Also, I know that we're kind of lacking for options in midfield, but it's no excuse really. I can't get away from that. And also, I can't really blame Weghorst. He's just a lone signing that came in, and to start him up front, knowing that he's not much of a goal scorer. I think he's only scored 2 goals. I don't think he's even scored in the Premier League since he's been here. So that was a bit of a brave call. We were better off just putting Rashford up front, to be honest. And just probably like having Anthony and Sancho further forward, but obviously there's question marks over Sancho's fitness. But I think there's definitely some bit of tinkering that the manager could have done in that game, and yeah, it's just showed us like where we're lacking and what changes that we need to make going forward for next season, because we can't. That starting 11 would struggle to make top 6. Put it that way. So there's a lot of work to be done, and obviously the manager's got to take some responsibility for that. But it just shows you that we ain't got much options on the bench to even choose from, really. So yeah, it's just a gaping hole in that midfield.
It's slim pickings, and it really shows. Like yesterday, I said it myself. Like we really miss Casemiro, we really miss Christian Eriksen, because that guy Bruno Fernandes is just useless without those other two protecting him and making him look good in terms of creating as well. Because I've realized that Manchester United cannot hang their hopes on Bruno Fernandes, which makes me move on to my next topic, which of big up, of course, a while ago that says Bruno needs rest and Sancho must be sold. I know there's a lot of thoughts on Jadon Sancho, especially with his form, and I always say before maybe can give him a bit more time, but you know what, the jury's coming out for him. There's not as much as I can defend him, like there'll be the time where we have to say maybe you need to go as well, because it's just not working out, and it seems like it's not working out right now. But moving on from that, of course, our next topic, which is the guy himself, who is the cover, and the question is how good is Bruno? And it's Bruno Fernandes himself. And the reason why I've brought this guy into discussion, because of course this is unpopular opinion, whether people like it or not, I don't really give a damn, because I went to get my eyes checked. You know, before this, for the last 2 years, I never had my eyes checked, and I wasn't wearing my glasses. Yeah, and I used to give Bruno the blind. Yeah, I used to be like, you know what, Ten Hag, he's a fantastic manager. He's a manager that can coach. He will coach Bruno to make the right passes, to be in the right position, not to just give those Hollywood passes, hoof it out, and all that kind of stuff. And Jerome knows this, because I said it before, that I believe that Ten Hag can improve Bruno, and we've seen a slight improvement in Bruno's game in terms of discipline. But right now, in my opinion, in the last couple of games, in fact, for 2 years, I've given him the blind. But I've had enough, guys. And I've said it before. I'm very sure you guys subscribe to Red United TV first of all. Smash that like button. Follow Red United TV on Instagram as well. You'll see my current post I posted up on Bruno Fernandes. It's not a rant. It's an unpopular opinion for those who see it, because I have a different opinion, and I just generally just don't think so that Bruno's good enough to carry Manchester United's midfield. Bruno's not good enough to be Manchester United's playmaker at all. He doesn't have the right qualities as a playmaker, as a midfielder. And when I mean the qualities, can he retain possession? Can he dictate tempo like Bruno Guimaraes was doing? Is he going to make the right passes as well at the right time? You know, because yesterday I saw a situation again, which you guys probably seen in the past before, a lazy back pass that turned straight from attack to defense with us under the cush. I'm very sure you guys saw that, and you've seen it a couple of times. You saw it against Liverpool as well, when he made a lazy back pass, gave the ball away to the opposition, and all of a sudden was under the cush. I am not convinced that Bruno Fernandes can help Manchester United win major trophies. I feel like we need a new number 10 next season. I want to know what your thoughts on. Jerome, I know what your thoughts on, so you can have the last say. But I want to get Moses, of course. Moses probably has a different opinion from me.
Slightly, yeah, slightly. I think it's easy for us to say after that game that Bruno's not good enough, and I know it might be based on other performances as well. But for me, I've seen a lot of development with Bruno under Ten Hag, and there's still very much a lot of holes in his game in terms of like just the final pass and just that quality of the pass as well. But I think there's a sort of a maverickness, there's like a wild card sort of vibe to the way Bruno plays, and it's like he'll come through with like a moment of absolute brilliance, but then he'll frustrate you for long periods as well. And it's a hard one to grapple with, because ultimately all you want from your midfielder and from your captain as well is a bit of consistency. So I completely hear what you're trying to say, what you're saying as well. But I think ultimately where I stand on Bruno is that I think he's a top quality player. I think he needs a functioning midfield behind him. And look, I don't want to say that it's all because Casemiro didn't play, but I think you see a difference in the way we develop our attacks and the way we build momentum when we've got Casemiro behind us, especially with the press as well. Like Casemiro he's front foot, and I think that benefits someone like Bruno, who's very instinctive and who can receive a ball first time off of Casemiro. And then turn, and it's one touch. Whenever he gets too much time on the ball, I think he ends up trying to look for a long pass. He dawdles on the ball. He loses possession. I think when he's thinking fast, I like it. Also as well though, I think he does suit. He can play in a two as well, and I think we've seen it a couple of times this season, and I quite like him a bit deeper, where he's got a bit more responsibility. It's more when he's when he's not getting the ball a lot, he does get the ball and then he loses it. Those are the games where I think he lets himself down. But I think he ultimately needs some sort of structure behind him, man. Sabitzer and McTominay isn't, and they're not enough for me to Bruno to actually to get a real hold of the game, you know. And look, I don't want to blame Bruno because I think he's been probably our best player since he's come to the club. He's been the best player at Man United, and that's just I'll happily debate that, but that's just my opinion. And yeah, I think Bruno, I think he's got elements of his game that need to be polished. And I think Ten Hag's done a good job in doing that so far. But yes, yesterday was a particularly bad day for Bruno, I got to admit.
Yeah, definitely was a bad game for Bruno, but I've seen too many. I've seen inconsistent performances several times. All I want is a 90-minute performance from my guy, bro. I said it before. I feel like we're in the Missy Elliott video, 1 minute man, and Bruno Fernandes is that guy, the 1 minute man. We want 90 minutes, bro. We've been wanting 9 minutes for so long. Like, is it hard to get 90 minutes from Bruno Fernandes of a fantastic performance, you know? And yesterday just showed a lot, man. Joe, your thoughts on Bruno Fernandes? Can United succeed with Bruno in the number 10 position? Is Bruno good enough for Manchester United? He is good enough. Don't get it twisted. He is good enough.
He's good enough to be a Man United player, but like you said, for us to go to the next level and challenge for major honours, I just don't think he's at that level to help us do that. When you look at our rivals and the players that they've got, and you compare it to Bruno, it's just night and day. Where these comparisons with Kevin De Bruyne came from, I don't have a clue, but we need to stop getting too focused on stats and actually watch the game and see the influence that these players have on the game, because Kevin De Bruyne and Odegaard at Arsenal, they're what we would want from Bruno, but I don't think Bruno's got the capacity to play like that and to perform consistently in big games. And I think the best that we saw of Bruno is when he was playing under Oli, because Oli didn't have a philosophy. He just had a freestyle, go out and enjoy yourselves. Bruno was given that free role to just basically do what he wanted. And that's why on the eye, it looked like he was like our best player, because he was free to do what he wanted, when really that's not the kind of way that we would want to ideally be playing if we're looking to win things. All the top managers in the world that are winning things are playing with a style, a philosophy, and a system that everyone has to fit into, so that everyone understands each other's way of playing. Whereas Bruno is just a freestyle stat pad merchant. And because Eric Ten Hag is trying to fit him into a system, we're seeing a less effective Bruno on the eye. Obviously, he still works hard and he plays every single game, so I'll give him that. But in terms of what we need from an actual number 10, he's just not good enough. And I can't remember a game where he's actually played well for a full 90 minutes. And I can't remember a game where, when the going gets tough and we're counting on Bruno as our captain, or not even just as a captain, just as a player to help us get over the line, he's just been lacking. He doesn't perform in big games, and he doesn't perform when the pressure's on and when it matters. Even when we won the Carabao Cup, even Casemiro was onto him, even though we won the game. And that shows you, Casemiro, 5-time Champions League winner, he knows a border when he sees one. And for him to be having a go at Bruno after the game when we won, that just shows he can see on the pitch that this guy's just not it. And this guy is going to flop us when push comes to shove. So if you've got Casemiro giving you a bollocking, even though we've won the game, that just shows you where he thinks that Bruno is as an elite level player. And I just don't think he's it. I think we spent the last year and a half hiding behind his stats and to justify why he's a good player and why he's important for us. But taking the stats away, he's not really having an influence on our games. All I can see is just hard work and passion, but we're going to need more than that. We're going to need actual quality. We're going to need someone like Odegaard, a proper number 10, going forward if we're looking to challenge. And it's not surprising that as soon as Bruno left Sporting, they won their league. Prior to that, they weren't winning anything. Because Bruno, he thrives when there's no system and he gets that free role. When he's asked to play in an actual system, that's when we can see his deficiencies. So only time will tell, but I've already made up my mind ages ago, to be honest. And I think that going forward, if we're going to look to be challenging, we're going to need a proper number 10 in. And it's telling that Erik ten Hag is always putting Bruno in different positions because he doesn't trust him in that midfield role. He's just not good in tight spaces. And I just don't think he has that technical ability to play in that the middle of the park or that number 10 role. That's why he gets put out wide or even on the left sometimes, just to accommodate it because of his hard work.
That's an interesting thing that you said there. Moses, I'm going to ask you a question. That's an interesting thing that he said there. And then you can continue what you was going to say. He said, Erik ten Hag, he doesn't think Erik ten Hag trusts him. And that's why he plays him in numerous position. Moses, do you feel that way? Or you don't feel like that?
It's the absolute opposite. He trusts him to the point where he'll rather than playing a Sancho or an Anthony, he'll play Bruno on the right hand side because he knows what he's going to be getting from him. And like, look, I accept he's very, very up and down, man, and it's frustrating for me, man. I don't want to be having to defend our captain. Do you know what I mean? He's ultimately he's done a lot for this club, right? He's done a lot for this club during lockdown. He made us respectable, right? He scored a fuckload of goals, banged a lot of penalties, assists, you name it, yeah. I'm not forgetting all of that sort of stuff, and I don't think he just turned into a bad player. And I don't even think he's been that bad this season. I think he's had a bad game, and there's been times where his bad games are bad. Yeah, there've been some bad games in there. But really and truthfully, I think Bruno, like, there's been moments where he stood up and he's got important goals, he's got important assists. Like the amount of assists he's assisted to Casemiro, we've seen that same goal about 2-3 times now. That same exact goal, that free kick, the goal that got us the first goal in the League Cup final as well. Let's not forget. And just because he's not bagging as many goals, yeah, the guy's got an influence over the dressing room. He's a leader on the pitch. Just remember what we had when we had Maguire, yeah, who was like apologizing to referees and stuff. Now we've got someone who's actually gonna be applying pressure on referees. And there's a reason why opposing fans hate him. And it's not because he's shit. It's because he winds them up. Ultimately he's a Man United. He plays like a Man United fan, and I like that. But in terms of Bruno and Ten Hag's relationship, I think it's the opposite. I think if anything, Ten Hag trusts him in any position on the pitch pretty much. And we saw that. Look, Bruno ended up playing centre back towards the end of that game yesterday to get the ball. And I don't think there were many players on that pitch. Can you name a player on that pitch that covered themselves in glory? Like, nah. But I think it's like 9 times out of 10, it's Bruno that gets the finger pointed at him. And I get it. There's a lot of expectation around him, but we can't. I find it hard to say we need to get rid of him. He's not good enough. Because he's shown before in the past that he's good enough. In terms of consistency, I agree. He definitely needs to be more consistent and be in control of his performances. But I think that comes with a midfield that's functioning, that has a defensive midfielder there that complements Bruno as well. Because Bruno's the sort of player that he needs to receive the balls in certain places for him to be effective and in a certain way. I don't think he was getting it from Sabitzer or McTominay yesterday.
But the question is, has Bruno ever had a good game when it matters? And if yes,
especially in the big games, because I don't see it at times, man.
I can't think of any. Literally, I cannot think of any.
The goal against Man City.
Final for the assist.
Against who?
He scored the goal. He scored the equaliser against City. Yeah.
Yeah, the City game. But that's the only time Bruno has really impacted in big games. But a lot of our players don't really have that much impact in big games in the last couple of years. I'm just gonna.
I just think when the pressure's off and there's no fans, that's where we saw the best of Bruno. When the fans came back, COVID. That was Bruno's time.
You think Bruno gets shook? You think Bruno gets shook because of the fans?
And you know what? One thing as well that people might dispute: he didn't have a good game with Ronaldo. How is that?
That was the start of Bruno's bad form when he just kept trying to find Ronaldo every pass.
I don't know. Yeah. I just thought 2 Portuguese internationals that play with each other, know each other inside that, and he can't get a good performance in. He was even missing penalties left, right, and centre. That ain't Ronaldo's fault. I just think that when the pressure gets on, he's just lacking. He doesn't have that big game mentality, and you're gonna need that at this level if you're going to be winning championships. Like Kevin De Bruyne does it. Odegaard's doing it at Arsenal at the moment. We need that. We need that winning mentality. That's why we got Cash there. And when he's not playing, we're just lacking.
Yeah,
So
we definitely just like it. I'm just gonna stop you guys there. Big up to everyone that's tuning in so far. Smash that like button. We're coming closer to the end of the show, the last topic, of course. About the one thing I have to say, Moses, is that it's as much as he scores goals and etc. It's not enough for me, man. I want the performance more than the goals because that just masks a lot of things. That allows people to just let him get away with it, you know. Is exactly
Yeah,
so,
that,
and
man.
it is what it is with Bruno Fernandes, man. I just honestly believe if Manchester United want to prevail and get a proper number 10 and do well and control games, um, get someone else, you know, because I can see Bruno on the bench next season if we sign a top class midfielder that can do the job he does 10 times better and get the assist. But Bruno has a lot of time to develop his game. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm not basing my opinion on just one game. I'm basing my opinion on the last 2 seasons because I remember him getting a contract a renewal with much more money, and I thought to myself, doesn't deserve it. But let's not go there. It's a long story. Let's move on straight up because we've gone straight into the Manchester United news. And of course, and the news of the day today is Luke Shaw apparently has signed a new 4 years deal. Fabrizio Romano have said that the paperwork has been signed. So it's about, finally announcing it. Right now, I'll be honest with you, I'd have been happy if Manchester United extended his contract by a year and activated that 1 year activation clause. But for him to get 4 years, this is the problem with Manchester United. You know, this family thing, and sometimes I keep on saying people, family members do get kicked out of the family, you know. It's not all the time be charitable to your family member because Luke Shaw in the last 10 years, I think he's been here for almost 10 years, and we've only seen the best of Luke Shaw I'll say 2 years top, which makes me wonder: does he warrant a new contract, or is it the fact that Manchester United just activated 1 year and monitor his performance? Because Luke Shaw is inconsistent as well. He gets injured. He hasn't been the Luke Shaw that we wanted to see at Southampton. He hasn't developed into the player that we want to be seeing, where we've been calling him Roberto Carlos. Does he deserve this contract? Did Manchester United make a mistake? Guys, you have the floor. We
I just
discussed
think
this
that
openly.
I just think that with Luke Shaw last season, I would have said get rid of this guy. This guy's just overweight and he's lacking the desire to compete at the top level. Also, because he's under Erik ten Hag, I think that Erik ten Hag can sort of push him onto the next level. So maybe this contract should be okay ideally now that we've got Malacia there, because he knows that if he's not performing, then he's going to be on the bench and we'll just sell him, and we could get a decent fee for him because I think he's only like 26, 27. Mm-hmm. So he's in his prime age now. So I think it was all right to give him that deal just to keep his market value up, because we don't want another situation where he ends up getting 1 year left on his contract and then he can either leave on a free or leave for a small fee. And with the English markup, if we do end up selling him, we could sell him for a lot of money. So I think it's okay to give him that deal. And I think because he started at such a young age as well, it just feels like he's just been there for ages. But because he's only 26, 27, yeah, I think that contract's all right, to be honest. All we just need is just to hope that he gets fit and he just maintains that desire to want to compete, because it seems like with Luke Shaw that we need to bring in a new left back in for him to start playing. That's not really the mentality that we should have. But hopefully now we've got a proper manager in that can coach, that should benefit him, and hopefully that 4 year deal will work out well in the end.
Yeah, look, I'll add on to what Jerome's saying, innit? I agree. I think for me, Luke Shaw has been one of our better players for a while now. He's deputised in centre back. He's shown he's got the tactical wherewithal to be able to defend as a centre back, even though he's never played there before. And look, like it was against Barcelona that he did it. Yeah. It was looking incredible. Mm-hmm. So no, man, I'm not worried about Luke Shaw. 1 year deal is not enough for me, man. Give the guy. I would have given him a 5 year deal.
Whoa, Moses, you're moving mad.
No, I would have. Look. If Chelsea are given
8 years,
them man 7 year contracts, I'm giving Luke Shaw a 5 year, no problem. But the thing is, yeah, look, Luke Shaw has had a lot of injury issues over it. Like he's had a tough time of injury issues, right? He's been fit for a long time now. I can't remember the last time he's been injured. He's been one of our better players. He's faster than he looks. I know he's a chubby little man, but he's quick. He's quick and he's brave. Nah, man. I think he's been one of the best left backs in the league this season. To be honest, like I'm not even saying this as like, I don't even feel like a tinge of like cringe in it. I don't feel like I'm saying something that's mad. But Luke Shaw, I think he's top quality. I think he's the best English left back. I think he's been one of our better defenders. He's a player you can rely on. Like, I don't know where the doubts even coming from around Luke Shaw. I think he's shown that he's a good player. And like we can even go back to that time when he broke his leg. He was playing well under Louis van Gaal. Post Mourinho, who was doing well under Oli. And then it was like the whole revival. Then there was the Champions, the 2018 World Cup.
No, the Euros 2020.
Euro 2020. Yeah. He was good.
20 Euros. Yeah. People were calling him the best left back in the world, Roberto Carlos, all of that sort of stuff.
Carlos, yeah.
And then apart from last year was the only year, and that's the whole team was shit last year. Like I think apart from that, Luke Shaw's done well, apart from the time he was under Mourinho and obviously when he's recovering from injury. Now I think we're starting to see a player that's like confident, that's mature, he's settled, he's got a family around him now. He's maturing, he's only 27 years old. Like he's been at the club for 9 years. I think he's a loyal servant, and he's the sort of player we want at the club. And like, look, I'm never gonna say anyone's perfect or that they're beyond criticism. But for me, Luke Shaw is one of them players that this season doesn't deserve criticism, in my opinion. I think he's been one of the more consistent players and one of the first names on the team sheet, you'd say as well. I know Malassi has got to come in to help with that, but. Look, at a big club, you need competition for places. And yeah, in an ideal world, you could have 11 players that never got injured and that wouldn't need any other players to be breathing down the neck to play well. But it's just the way it works. It's just human behavior. If you think someone's going to take your spot, you run a bit harder. You go in for that challenge. Do you know what I mean? You've got a different mentality. But I agree. It's a weird. It's when Brandon Williams came in and then he started playing like Roberto Carlos out of nowhere. So I agree. It would be nice if he didn't have to do that. We didn't need to have to do that, but generally, man, I'm happy with Luke Shaw and give him a 5, 6 year 7 deal. I don't mind.
Yeah, I do agree with you in the sense where he said that he's helped us out in centre back. For the fact that he's in a better job than Maguire, I think that alone just suggests that he does deserve that 4-year deal because 80 mil for Maguire and he's playing better than him, and centre back's not even his position, and he's in front of Maguire. So in that case, I would say, he does deserve that 4-year deal. If it wasn't for that centre back, then I would have said, I'd probably just give him a 2-year extension. But he can deputise at centre back if we need to and do a decent job there. If anything, he's probably better at centre back than left back because he doesn't like to get forward as much. So
he looked good at centre back, man. Yeah. I was actually very, very impressed with him at centre back.
Me too, exactly. So I'm just gonna end you guys there because we've come to the end of the show. Big up to everyone that's tuning in today. We're back again next week at 8 p.m. We're going to continue to try to bring back the show on YouTube, as much platform as it is. I'm hearing that for the platform that I'm using right now, the streaming platform, eventually Instagram will be available. So I'll be able to stream across Instagram, YouTube, and also the Facebook page. So then that will probably increase the engagement and make a better show. But until Instagram gives us the live RTPM code and make it live for my account, we just have to watch it on YouTube. Big up to everyone. I just want to go around, just want to ask guys if you got any last minute things you wanted to say before we end the show. I'm going to start with you, Jerome, and Moses, if you got anything that you guys say.
Yeah, I just say we just need to just put the disappointment of the result behind us as a team, regroup and just try and get these 2 home wins against Brentford on Wednesday, and I think Everton, I don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday, but we just need to get 6 points and just put us. If we get 6 points, then it will probably take us back into third. Because I don't see Newcastle winning every game. So as long as we deal with our home games, then I think we can get over the line. But look at the fixtures. It shouldn't be that hard for us to secure the top 4, surely. I don't see any more big games left apart from Chelsea, who are in disarray at the moment. Yeah. So we should, I'm confident in top 4 as long as we get our acts together.
Yeah, big up Noah who says that Iron Spice, I think it's time to let Bruno McTominay, where goes my show, Maguire go right now, because if we don't we won't finish in the top 4 race. And my brother was right from the start of the season. I can agree with the McTominay, Weggles, possibly Martial and Maguire. But again, I didn't say Bruno out. I don't agree with the Bruno getting sold. I just feel like we can probably get a better player that does what Bruno does, but much more consistently. But again, I can also feel like we can use Bruno and develop him. So I'm not on the Bruno out right now. I'm just think we can get a better player. That's about it. And we can't really win things with him doing that shenanigans all the time. We can't win if you continue to do the nonsense. Moses, any last thing you want to say?
Yeah, I will. And I think just on what you were saying about Bruno, I agree with that point for sure. And I think we can bring other players in to compete with him for sure. And I think that's a good idea. We should do that. Getting rid of him for me is a bit mad.
Yeah.
It's a bit mad. There's other players we need to get rid of first for sure. And then finally as well, I just want to say, boys, chins up in it. We're Man United. We've gone. We've like remember how far we've come,
from last season.
Yeah.
Everyone watching now, all you Man United fans, if you're not a Man United fan, listen, you can get excited, you can be laughing at us right now, but look at how far we've come this season. Look at Ten Hag's built. Look what he's made us feel. The fact we're disappointed about a 2-0 loss when we've dropped down from 3rd to 4th. The season's still got a lot to fight for. We've won the League Cup. We're still in a very good position to finish top 4, but we're still expecting more. We're still disappointed at these moments. So I think that just says it all. Standards are getting lifted up. We're not going to take these performances no more. Last season, this was week in, week out, week in, week out. We don't take that shit anymore. Ten Hag does not take that shit anymore. He's not smiling in these interviews. You know these men are going to be on the training ground and they're going to pattern up. And all I'm going to say is, next match, Brentford. Was it Brentford on Wednesday? Yeah.
Old Trafford.
That's when we'll see what this team's made of. Because if we can't react, if we don't react, then it's like, okay, cool. Now we need to start worrying because that's two poor performances in a row. But I'm expecting a big performance on Wednesday. I'm expecting a reaction, and if there's not, then we can start looking at what's going wrong. But up until that point, I'm feeling confident with this club. I feel like we're moving in the right direction. And let's not let this result rain on our whole parade this season, innit? We've come a long way. Let's just keep reminding ourselves of that. We got Eric Ten Hag as our manager as well. We don't take this shit lightly. So.
Yeah, he ain't Ollie.
Up, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Definitely. Big up for that as well, Moses. Nice way to finish the show, guys. Big up to everyone that's tuning in, of course. It's been a wonderful show. We're back again next week, 8 p.m. We do again on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Big up Moses as well. Moses, with his last word, he said I'm expecting from our manager this season, we have tough games against Brighton, Tottenham, Brentford, Fulham as well. Ten Hag needs to fix the situation right now. You see, we have high expectation when it comes to our manager now. That's what he brought to us, you know.
You're right. He's raised the standards. He's raised it back up.
He raised the standards, and I love that. Guys, I am back again live Wednesday. We're doing a watch along 20 minutes before kickoff, which is about 7:40. Make sure you tune in for the live watch along on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, and also Twitter. But till next time as well, remember to keep it united. I know it's right now, it's not nice. And also remember to keep it red united. We'll see you next time. Peace and love from everyone here. Jerome to Moses. Bless up to everyone. And see you next week. Peace.